Today's session is the Kiwanis International and Youth Protection Policy and Practice. So I wanted to introduce myself and also the Executive Director for Kiwanis Youth Program. So my name is Melissa McMann. I am the Youth Specialist, Youth Protection Specialist for Kiwanis. I joined Kiwanis International in January. Prior to that, I had worked in state government in a variety of different roles, from grants manager, working with lots of different nonprofit organizations and community development projects, giving them grants, as well as the Indiana's Department of Child Services, Department of Health, Criminal Justice Institute, working in victim services. Youth protection and nonprofit has always been very important to me, so this is a great fit for my background and experience, and also where we want to take youth protection. So thank you all for being here today. It looks like that we have a variety of different CKI members and admin, and so we will try and cater to all the different perspectives. So I'll let Michelle introduce herself as well. We have joining us.
Hi everyone, my name is Michelle Studi-Campbell and I am the Executive Director of Kiwanis Youth Programs, and I took on that role last January, or this past January. But prior to that, I joined Kiwanis as the first ever Director of our Youth Protection Initiative, and worked really hard in that the first year, getting that all established, putting together new policies and procedures, and really launching that program, and then stepped into the role of executive director just this past year. So prior to coming to Kiwanis, I have a long history in not-for-profit executive leadership and management positions. Most recently spent 4 years at the Ronald McDonald House Charities chapter here in Indiana, serving as the CEO of the organization. And prior to that, had a long stint in public health, working in a youth-centered mental health and juvenile justice organization, working on policy as well as program delivery. So I'm excited to be here at Kiwanis and leading all of our SLP programs, working with our students and all of our leaders across the globe. So excited to be here and talk youth protection. If you see me kind of fiddling around, it's because we've had a lot of power outages here, and I am running 2 workshops, one from my laptop and one here on my desktop. So don't mind me if you see me kind of moving around the screen a lot. I'm just working on the laptop one too. So thanks for being here.
And Michelle's going to answer. She's going to watch the feed in the chat if you have questions. We'll try and look at those as we go along. You're welcome to raise your hand or chat any questions. This is being recorded right now, and we can make the slides available to you if you would like them. We have our contact information on the very last slide. So we'll go ahead and get started. So why does student and youth protection matter? Currently, the Kiwanis Youth Program serves over 335,000 youth each year, and those are our youth members. That doesn't even include all the service projects that our members do within the community. And we know that globally, 1 in 4 youth will suffer some type of abuse or maltreatment in their life. So I'm just going to kind of talk through some of the statistics that we found that are kind of a driving force, I apologize, for why youth protection matters. We also know that of the abuse and maltreatment, only about 85% of child abuse victims, they never report their abuse. So a lot of abuse gets unknown or unreported, and abuse is usually at the hands of known acquaintances and family members, not strangers. So we just kind of want to make that as a point. And then more than 90% of abusers are people that children know, love, and trust. With abuse, it's privacy, access, and control that we are, looking out for. We also have a couple of statistics on campus sexual assault, and we added these in because you as college students or working with the college population, we we want to also keep in mind the protection for college age as well as under 18 youth. So among undergraduate students, 23.1% of females and 4.4% of males experience rape, sexual assault through physical force, violence, or incapacitation. One other statistic that was really interesting is that more than 50% of college sexual assaults occur in the fall when school starts. Another statistic that we found that was pretty troubling was seeing that suicide is the second leading cause of death in children and adolescents in the US, and that it's also the leading cause of death between the 15 to 29-year-old age group. And we've seen in our research and looking at warning signs and risk factors that those youth who are exposed to violence or bullying, feeling of hopelessness or helplessness, have a higher risk of suicidal tendencies or suicidal thoughts. So these are all different types of trauma that some of our youth who are members, whether it's Key Club or Builders Club or CKI, they may be carrying around with them. And so we want to not only keep them safe and protect them while while they are in our care, but we also want to be cognizant and aware of the traumas that they may be coming into as part of our group. So Kiwanis Youth Protection goals are to protect, educate, and engage all Kiwanis members, both youth and adult. We want to protect our youth members from predators. We also want to empower and educate our adult members with best practices when working with youth. So we want to, we're going to talk about a little bit later, different tools and different resources that are available and that we're also developing so that we can empower our adult members to understand the language the vocabulary and the sensitivity in working with students who may have trauma or may have some kind of abuse. And we're also trying to protect from any kind of physical or sexual abuse from predators. We also want to provide youth themselves with positive skills development tools so that they, as individuals, as their leaders in their community, as their leaders in their schools, that they can be inspired and engaged to be their best and share resources from Kiwanis. So we're going to give you a data compliance overview for whenever I say SLP, I am referring to service leadership programs. So service leadership programs and CKI clubs and advisors. So when I say service leadership programs, I am meaning all 5 of our club levels. So from CKI to Key Club to Builders Club to K Kids, and then also Action Club. So out of all of those SLP program lines, the advisors are required to have a background check. And our goal is for 100% compliance for that. Currently, we have around almost 9,000 SLP clubs. And of those, we have about 7,000 advisors on record that are Kiwanis members. There's even more, not even more, but the difference between that would be that there's maybe only a faculty advisor, whether it's a teacher or a faculty person, CKI or Key Club or so forth. But of those Kiwanian advisors that have been background check, that's about 5,000. So we're at 78%. We're really close to closer than what we have been in months past. So we are really hoping that we can push that over the edge to 100%. The annual training, that 35%, I'm going to talk a little bit about it, but we ask that Kiwanis members take trainings like this, like you sitting in this youth protection training as adult advisors. This meets a annual training requirement so that we can keep our advisors up to date on the latest and greatest practices and data and trends. So real quickly.
I'm going to just real quick, just so I know, can you go back a slide? That advisors with KI background check is currently at about 73%. A year ago, that number was about 49 to 51%, depending upon the month we pulled the data. So we have we've come a long way. And if we can really get that, the closer we can get that to 100%, the better we are. And so just appreciate everybody's attention to detail when we send out those monthly reports, providing the information of those in districts that need to get those background checks. Thanks, Melissa.
Yes. Sorry. To break it down into districts, we've taken that data, and these are the North American districts. We have from Alabama to Wisconsin. We also have the Caribbean and Canada. And so working our way to the left. And again, we can share these slides with you so that you can look a little bit more in detail. If you see your district and you're wondering why your district is at a certain percentage, I'm happy. You can shoot me an email and we can talk about it offline, and we can look at the different percentages. As she said, there is the breakdown of the 73%, the fourth column from the right shows the 73% of the SLP clubs that have an advisor with a Kiwanis background check. And then I took those same districts and I broke out our data that we have through our membership system and reporting of the CKI. So it's a little bit different, but for the, oops, sorry, that was a misspelling. For the Key Club, for the CKI advisors that have a background check, you're at 73% as well. About 34% as well as for the completed annual training.
And I will say, if all you CKI folks, just raise your right hand now and give yourself a big old pat on the back. Traditionally, you guys are usually a couple percentage points ahead of the other groups, and particularly with the percent of Kiwanis advisors on record. And so just really appreciate what you guys are doing there.
Yes, thank you. And as we said, that we're working towards our goal of 100% of the background check compliance throughout all our youth programs. So youth protection policies and practices. So how does this apply if you're a CKI advisor or a CKI member and you interact with youth, or you interact with someone who is younger than 18 years old? So youth protection, our Kiwanis at the international level, we've broken it down to in ABCs, trying to make it in ways that our advisors can remember our different program areas and what is important. So A is accessible training and resources, B is background checks, and C is culture of care. So we're going to talk about a couple of those different areas. So in accessible training, we do ask that all of our members, or all of our SLP advisors, or anyone who is working with youth, that they review the youth protection policies and procedures annually. So for those of you who are CKI members, you can go to the, and you're gonna volunteer with maybe your builders club in your community, or you're gonna volunteer with K-Kids and you're gonna do a service project together. You can go to our website at kiwanis.org, youth protection, and you can download this document. I'm gonna cover over the next few slides most of the points that are in this document, but that way you can access it yourself if you'd like. So chaperones. So chaperones must be 21 years or older. And all chaperones, whether you're a club member, meaning you're a Kiwanian, or you're a non-member as a faculty, participating in any single day event that's off school premises, or even an overnight service leadership program sponsored event, must have a clear background check. We're going to talk about this in just a little bit more, but what we mean by that, a service leadership sponsored event would be your district convention. Maybe you're going to go be a chaperone for some youth at international convention. You have a good relationship, and you maybe as a key leader type of event, and you want to chaperone as well. So we ask that you have a Kiwanis background check, you review the policies and procedures, that document, and then sit through an annual youth protection training. We actually have online training that had been on our membership system. It's taken down, we're making some updates, and we should launch it again in September that you'll be able to take. Also for chaperones, keep in mind that we require a minimum of 1 adult per 10 students must be serving for the entirety of the event. And then when it comes to those overnight Kiwanis sponsored events, so again, that district convention, that international convention, the event must have a minimum of 1 chaperone per 10 students, and we break it down by, for females, it should be 1 female advisor or chaperone for 10 female participants. And same thing with 1 male adult for 10 or up to 10. So if you were to have 15 youth males, you would need 2 adult males as chaperones. And again, adults may not share sleeping quarters with students unless it's their child or if they're in a bunkhouse or at a campground and so forth. We've put together a couple of frequently asked questions that we've heard and we received, and so we just thought we'd put those together. So I'm 21 and I want to help at my local Key Club district convention as a chaperone. Do I need a background check? Yes, effective May 1st, our policy changed and all chaperones will need to have a Kiwanis approved background check. And KI, we're actually looking at ways to assist our CKI members with the cost of completing that background check. So we're looking at ways that we can make it as beneficial or cost benefit to those CKI members, because we know that you're in college and it's a $25 fee, but sometimes, you know, that might be a little too much. And then some districts, they may even have a stricter age requirement. So the 21 is at the international level, but some districts may have a stricter policy. Another frequently asked question, my CKI club wants to do a project with our nearby Key Club. Do we all need a background check? No. If the CKI clubs work with the Key Club advisor to make sure that there is the proper student chaperone ratio is met, and the Key Club advisor is present, not everyone in that CKI club needs to have a background check. But the CKI members should read the youth protection policies annually, that document that you can find on our website. So if you are chaperoning or you're advising and you're working with youth and you observe troubling behavior involving a youth at an event, or you become aware of a situation that is illegal, like you have found that they brought beer and they're underage and they're drinking, or something that's potentially unsafe for that young person, contact the appropriate personnel on site. Contact law enforcement if it is an illegal activity to provide notification, anyone that's appropriate, but contact the appropriate personnel on site, whether that's the leaders of the event or at your district level and your district admins. Also, if you find out about troubling behavior after the event, contact those leaders of the event. If it's an illegal activity that the youth have done, contact law enforcement personnel. And then also keep in mind that depending on where you are, there's different local, state, provincial, federal laws that requiring reporting must be followed. So if there is child abuse, if there is some kind of sexual assault, there are laws that are requiring for different reporting requirements. So kind of going on again, like I said, different policies and practices that are included in that youth protection policy document. So talking about social media, we know social media is very popular. Adults use it, students use it, but we should always look at it from the standpoint of, from a professional standpoint. So if you're a CKI member and you are communicate with the youth following the rule of 3. Always include a parent, a guardian, that Key Club advisor, district manager, so that it's not the one-on-one emails and texts. Don't post pictures of the youth on your personal social media pages. It's one thing to have the right photo permissions of Key Club students from the Key Club, and that their Key Club page or the CKI page can post pictures if you have the appropriate parent permissions. But treat all of the social posts in professional and public facing way, and as much as possible. So here's another frequently asked question. So I'm a first-year CKI member, and most of my friends at home are fourth-year Key Club members. Can we hang out when I go home? Yes, of course. However, as a CKI member, you must follow the youth protection policies when you're on official Key Club or CKI business. And that includes like transportation practices. So again, a rule of 3 where we have 3 people in the car if you're transporting those youth members. Make sure that there's the approved required parent and guardian permissions and keeping them informed, as well as following any local school policy, seat belts, that kind of thing. Medications. So if you are a chaperone and you are chaperoning youth and there are different prescriptions, make sure that hopefully they've already given it to their advisor, but any kind of medication, prescription or non-prescription, should only be allowed with written permission from a parent or a guardian. So talking about training, so those are some different policies that the Kiwanis International has related to the youth programs. And those are more on the, when you're at an event, operational of a chaperoning or so forth. Now this is about Presidium online youth protection training. So back in February, after months of working, you might have heard about this, after months of working on this, we entered into a contract with Presidium. They are a provider of training and for sexual assault, child abuse prevention. They actually contract with YMCA USA on a national level. They've also worked with, and Michelle, you could probably talk to this, all the different the groups that they've worked with.
Yeah, so Presidium is considered really the platinum standard in youth protection and youth abuse prevention work. They've been doing this work for almost 20 years before it was even kind of an industry. It started out that the founder was on the board of his local Y, and they had a horrific case of serial child abuse. And he was, or is still, a licensed social worker and a psychiatrist. And so he really began to study and understand the types of folks that become abusers, and really began to learn what they need to abuse a victim, how they target young people. And today, Presidium, again, almost 20 years old, they are the contractor that works with all of the USA Safe Sports. They were brought into USA Gymnastics after all of the issues to begin to help them rebuild and to build their training and monitoring program. And so we have partnered with them to provide training for all of our advisors. And Melissa's going to talk a little bit about how to access that. And then also we have training available to all Kiwanians now.
We have a message in the group chat. Key Club members initiates emails to a Circle K member. We should advise the Key Club member to use their rule of 3 at the very least. Yes, thank you for adding that. Yes, so the Circle K member is expected to reply with the rule of 3, adding a third person. Yes, I'm a Kiwanian, overseas Key Club members. Yes. So the answer is yes, add someone else on so that there's a rule of 3 people, and so it's not just a one-on-one conversation.
Yeah, and this is a rule that has, that Boys and Girls Club, Boy Scouts, all of the sports activities now, you have to have another adult in that conversation at a minimum. I am part of a sports organization with my daughter where it's more than 3. Like the coach cannot really text students one-on-one or any sort of activity. It has to be only through a group function. So this is becoming more and more common, and even all the time at Kiwanis, I get Key Clubbers that email me one-on-one, and I'm constantly adding in a third person and with a reminder to have a third person. So it's going to take a while for this to kind of sink into the culture, but we think if we on the adult side are diligent, that our students will catch up and join us in this new practice.
Yes. So to the right is a screenshot of the Presidium Learning Portal. Again, we launched this in February. All of the SLP Kiwanis advisors are already registered, and the policy that we passed in February was that our SLP advisors are required to do the advisor training. So there's 6 different modules, and then chaperones, there are 3 different chaperone modules. So to the right, there are about 15-minute videos. And as Michelle said, it talks about related to the types of people that may abuse, or the targeting young people, what they look for. So these they can be triggering for someone who has had abuse before, but it also allows adults to look for warning signs. If they see different warning signs in children or in the youth that they're working with, these different trainings give them some background and some context. So as a Kiwanis advisor, I didn't receive the email. What do I do? So you can email Presidium directly and call them at their 1-800 number, or you can email them at support for your password and login, and because it's just a web portal that you can get access to, or you can email me, Melissa, at theyouthprotection@kiwanis.org, and we can resend your login information. If you happen to be a faculty advisor, you're not automatically set up, but I can manually add you. If you are so currently what we have set up automatically is SLP advisors, district administrators, youth protection officers, district risk officers. For say a Kiwanis secretary or president, you can actually access it. There's a link on your membership portal that you can access. And I'm happy to answer any questions offline. You feel free to email me. But in talking back about those ABCs, so B stands for background check. All SLP Kiwanis advisors must have a Kiwanis cleared background check. And as we said a few minutes ago, all chaperones who are participating in overnight or single day when they're off school premises must also have a cleared background check. And when we talk about the Kiwanis background check, we know that across our global organization that there are different mechanics for background checks from country to country. So we've gone ahead and we've partnered with Safe Visitor, Safe Hiring Solution, to conduct these searches. It's a $25 fee for members, which we found was the least expensive bid. So once you complete your background check, it is good for 2 years. And we have direct links for our US and also our Caribbean countries that we can send directly through the Safe Hiring Solution. And then once it's completed, those results will link up to the Kiwanis Membership Center so that you'll actually be able to go in yourself as a Kiwanis member and look to see, like, when is your background check completed and when does it expire after 2 years. For our Canadian SLP Kiwanis advisors, they are required to obtain a local police service and submit it to me at Kiwanis International so that we can review it. The Canadian process is a little bit different. So I just wanted to add that in there about Canadian advisors going and getting it directly and then submitting it to us, and then we'll update our membership system. And then for other countries that are outside of the US, Canada, Caribbean, again, we can send Safe Hiring individual links. We always tell people not to share the links with anyone else, that they're individual links because they're tied to your membership account. So that's another reminder. And back to those ABCs of youth protection. C stands for culture of care. So not only do we want to educate our adults who are working with youth on the ways that we want to prevent abuse, looking how the students may have interacted or have experienced abuse, we want to provide a culture of care. And what that means, it's not a paid type of initiative or anything like that. We just want to build up a platform of resources and training for adults and also for youth on positive and young adult development and resources, providing resources for parents on youth development, as well as all our adult leaders. And breaking that down, what we're talking about, what we've already provided and what we're looking at providing are webinars and trainings related to mental health, self-care. And I'll let Michelle talk about Active Minds.
Yes, so this is perfect timing, as I'm also pulling double duty and like monitoring the Active Minds workshop right now. So we actually just signed just like 2 weeks ago a partnership with Active Minds, and so as it was alluded to during the opening session, they have over 300 chapters on campuses across the U.S. And so we are now in an official partnership with Active Minds, and we'll be sharing that information and what that means. But they're going to provide a lot of videos and information on self-care, where to find resources within your communities when you need someone to talk to. What we heard from so many of our student leaders, both in Circle K as well as Key Club, is that because our students are seen as leaders on their campus or in their school communities, they get a lot of fellow students and peers that are disclosing some fairly significant issues along self-harm, suicidal ideation, assault, and abuse. And as student leaders, they want to help and they want to lean into that, but they may not have the resources to work with those students. And so ultimately, you are not a counselor, you are a student leader, and we want to get you the resources to share with your peers who are in CKI and Key Club, as well as just in your college or school community. And so Active Minds gives us that opportunity. Earlier this year, we sat down and had a great conversation with Anthem and the chair of their psychology department, and had a great Q&A with them. We're going to continue to expand that partnership with Anthem so that our students have additional resources. And then I'm going to let Melissa talk about a new initiative we just launched at Key Club and we want to bring to Circle K as well. And that is we did a series of training around culture of care, and really created this new program for students to be part of. And I'll let Melissa take it from there.
Sure. So we have partnered with Burton Patterson. He is the prevention director at the Indiana Coalition to End Sexual Assault and Human Trafficking, and provided 4 different workshop trainings at the Key Club International Convention. And like Michelle said, we want to bring this, but talking about healthy boundaries in relationships, healthy boundaries in not only a peer-to-peer, but then also parental or even younger. What are the healthy boundaries that you need to maintain? Also effective peer communication and bystander intervention. So as student leaders, how can you, instead of just watching maybe peer-to-peer violence or some type of dating violence, step up in a safe way and intervene, instead of being an upstander, instead of just watching it take place. And then also we're working with him on developing a facilitator guide so that students can then take this back to their local clubs and they can share to their local clubs. So a train the trainer, and we've actually are working on a certification to send once the students have actually participated in the 4 different workshops. So that's something that we'd like to take to CKI as well. And we'll move on. Another initiative or another thing that we did in working with the culture of care is in our partnership with Presidium, we created a youth protection helpline. So this 1-866-607-SAFE is an international number, or you can use it, you can call from Canada, you can call from anywhere in the US, and it is staffed 24 hours, 7 days a week by trained professionals. trained professionals who can answer whether you're reporting inappropriate behavior or Kiwanis policy violations or abuse. And then the calls are routed to the youth protection team. Michelle and I will then staff those calls and reach out to whether we need to reach out to if there are different accusations or policy violations, to reach out to that local club or at the district level and follow back up. But we wanted to provide an anonymous way that students, if they'd like to, they can reach out for help if they're not really sure where to go. And again, that's not saying like there's still the emergency hotlines. If there's, immediate danger, we still, we support and we want people to call those numbers. But this is more on the Kiwanis family, giving them an opportunity to report any kind of issues.
I do want to say we reposted all that information earlier this month, and we will repost. We will have a post about the helpline and about youth protection policies and how to access assistance or clarity every month. We're shooting for the 9th for Title IX. And we're gonna keep that up until everyone has this 1-866-607 SAFE embedded in their mind. When a call does come in, it's taken by someone who is completely trained to get you the help you need or to get you the additional information that you need. If a crime has been committed, they will connect with law enforcement, and then that call, a full recording and transcription of the call comes to us, and then we determine the next steps. We only launched in earlier this year, January, February, and then we've only had a few calls because so many, I'd like to think it's because everyone knows the appropriate way to behave, but I think it's also because there hasn't been a lot of activity, right, because of the coronavirus. But we have had a couple of calls and ran them through the appropriate things. It was some confusion, and but so far no crimes have been committed that have been reported through this line. But we encourage everyone to get this number memorized, and perhaps at your early meetings in the fall, make sure that all of your new student members and all the returning members know about this resource. Thanks, Melissa.
Yeah, thank you. And then as we kick off the our new fiscal year in October, we are hosting Youth Protection Awareness Week. And this year we're working on a couple different webinar series, a lunch with the leader on the Facebook Live, and then launching our new online leadership education related to youth protection policies and procedures will also be available. And we encourage all of the local clubs, whether it's Key Club, CKI, Kiwanis members, to host a meeting or host a training related to getting all of our members trained on youth protection and checking that box so that they've already reviewed their youth protection policies for the year. And if you have any questions and want some more follow-up, there's a couple different ways that you can reach us. So again, we have some resources on our Kiwanis.org youth protection website. We're continuing to build that out and add more recordings of webinars that we're doing. You can also, any questions related to background checks, you can send to backgroundchecks@Kiwanis.org. Youth protection, say you're interested in the Presidium training or you don't have your Presidium training login, you can email there. And then we have a new email for Culture of Care. Again, building that out for that certification program and train the trainer. If there are any questions related to that, we have that available as well. So at this time, we have another like 10 minutes or so. I'm happy to, or I guess maybe 6 minutes, happy to answer any questions. So feel free to type those in the chat box and we will try and answer those. We appreciate everyone for all your volunteer hours and working with youth. Thank you so much, because you're the ones that make this so important and make us a a top-in-class service organization.
All right, somebody's got to have some questions.
So Brianna had said, some colleges in our district are, do you recommend everyone that goes to their meeting get one? So is that, Brianne, can you follow up with that to me? I think that's related to the K kids. So if you're an advisor if you're like a CKI advisor as well as a K kids advisor and also a Builders Club advisor, if you get one background check, it is good for the different program levels. So you don't need separate ones if you're an advisor for different ones.
The training, though, would be a little different, but you'd only have to take each training once. And so as you can imagine, the training for people who are working with younger students is different than people working with high school and college age students, but it wouldn't be duplicative on kind of the general trainings.
Mm-hmm. So I received a question, during work hours, we still call the number versus going to you directly.
You can do either, but the safe bet, like, so Melissa and I are in meetings and all over the place, the safest, best way to get a human is to call that 1-866 number. If you just have like a question that isn't an emergent matter, you may certainly email us or give us a call. But you know, sometimes we're in really long meetings and we don't want to leave you hanging for an hour or so when we're in meetings. So by all means, use that 866 number. You know, we are paying for that service. We want it to be available for folks. And you can do both. You can email us, and call them. I think some of them are going straight to you, Melissa. I'm not seeing too many questions.
Yes, I think they are going privately to me, and I apologize if I set that up that way. I didn't mean to. So here's a good question. Is it the responsibility of the Circle K if there are issues that arise between a Circle K and a Key Club? In other words, it's not been made clear to Key Clubbers that they should not email a Circle K directly or get in a car with a Circle K. And I'm coming from the position of a Kiwanian who mainly works with Key Clubbers, just wondering if the Circle Kers are more aware of these rules. So this same presentation or variation of this presentation we just gave as well at the Key Club International Convention, and I had 50 advisors on my 2 sessions. So I said the same policies and procedures to 100 different advisors. We're also going to continue in sharing these messages. We have our district. If you didn't know, there's also youth protection officers who are within the district, that live within your district. So New York, Capital District, Indiana, they can provide training, these same types of trainings related to youth protection. And so if you think that there is maybe a Key Club that needs some additional training in your district, we can get you in contact with the local district youth advisor or youth protection advisor or officer, and they can provide that training as well.
Yeah, I think certainly we're doing more and more directly with the students to provide this training at the Key Club level, but ultimately it's going to be the adults who need to know, understand, and enforce those rules. We know we want student voice in this as well, but as a CKI, as an adult, primarily most CKI students are over 18, as well as being a leader, we're going to need you guys to also understand and be able to apply the rules. But let us know when you need some backup, and we will absolutely get you the resources to move that forward. And that's, hopefully, and well, hope is not a strategy. You can quote me on that. Our plan for October for Youth Protection Month is that we will be doing additional training really targeted more at our student leaders, so that they also have the power and part of the voice to move the youth protection work forward.
And I would also say during that Youth Protection Awareness Week, we can also do some messaging to our Key Club members to remind them of our policies related to social media or transportation as well. So we are at the 45 minutes after the hour. Thank you all for participating. Thank you for your questions. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much for your service and your commitment to CKI. We hope that you enjoy the rest of your conference. And again, if you have any questions and want to reach out to Michelle and I, our email, we can reach by any of those emails. So thank you all very much and enjoy the rest of your workshops and the rest of the conference.
Thank you.
Thank you.